Yeah! Woo! Yes, I like the energy.
Sure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like the dog strangling vine.
This is one of my favorite trees, especially my favorite coniferous tree, is it has a lot of uses. First of all, it's very aromatic. My uncle used to call it Bushman's cologne. And the reason that they used to do that is because it actually has a property to it that is an insect repellent.
Okay.
So not only does it smell great in your home, but it actually keeps the bugs away. And it also is super high in vitamin C, and it makes a very pleasant tea. And weird anecdote, when the colonials came over to North America, a lot of them, their lemons and oranges and stuff that they kept for vitamin C on the ships, especially on extra-rate boats and stuff like that, they'd get eaten by rats or go rotten and stuff like that, and then they'd get this affliction called scurvy. And scurvy is a really nasty disease. Like, it makes your earlobes fall off, your nose, like all your extremities just, rot off. It's really bad. And the natives right away knew what they were suffering from, so they made them cedar tea. And within a few days, they bounced back. I don't know if that was the best move on their part. It was being too kind of a neighbor. But it also has a ton of other uses. If you notice here, these shale-like leaves that they have, when you stack them on top of each other, they almost look like shingles. So when you're building a shelter, this makes really great roofing, and it actually waterproofs your shelter, and also keeps the bugs out. And on top of that, you notice how the boughs are very soft and bouncy. It makes really good bedding. Keeps you off the ground, and it creates what we call R value. It's how they measure insulation, basically.
No bed bugs.
No, they don't like to fall.
So yeah, that's the cedar tea. And
So it's actually really, really handy. You use it for your roofing on your shelter, if you're making an emergency shelter. You use it for your roofing and you use it for your bedding. The bugs absolutely hate it. So you're basically making a shelter out of stuff that bugs absolutely hate. So they're going to stay away from you and everything else. You'll actually see old movies where you see the Aboriginals, and you'll see the voyageurs and stuff, and they'll actually have chunks of this stuck in their hat or stuck in their pant leg and stuff like that. The reason for that, it wasn't a fashion statement or anything like that. It actually was used to keep the bugs off and to keep the bugs away from them and stuff like that. It was back before they had bug repellents and stuff like that. So, yeah, good stuff. Cedar.
Also, if you guys happen to be stuck out there, it's actually a stimulant. It works a bit like coffee, but it doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, this is a neat lookout. I've never been to this park, so I'm quite excited.
Such a beautiful view. This was actually Toronto's first hill. And that's what we're looking out at right now. That giant hill that you see over there in the back there, that's actually a giant mountain erosion. About 3 feet of soil put on top of that. It's actually a giant mountain erosion. The whole area that we're looking at here. But thankfully the city stepped in and said, the river's loose and make it nice. So city stepped in and ended up buying up all this land, all these headwaters that come from the Rouge River. This is the Rouge River going through here.
So down there, Terry's just explaining right now how this is the Rouge River that runs through this park, and how out in that hillside that we can sort of see out in that way, used to actually be a landfill site. So a couple years back probably, it wasn't very nice to look at, but it's definitely turned around now. This is one of, I believe, North America's largest urban parks.
Isn't there a story about the name? What's that? About
not because it was the River of Love or anything like that.
I think
The French did.
Yeah, more accurately, I think it probably would have been the French that came in here first, the voyageurs that came through this area first, because this would have been part of the carrying place. A lot of people think of the carrying place as just being the Humber, but it's not. It was the Don, and it was also the Rouge. There are 3 rivers that you can take right from here, and you can take them all the way up to the Oak Ridges Moraine, which is about 200 miles away from here. So that's where the headwaters start for this river, and then they empty out at the lake just over here. So, long way. But yeah, the voyageurs would have used this river, would have used the Don River, would have used the Humber River as a route of transportation, one of the 3 rivers. So the Rouge River, I'm almost willing to bet it was probably from the French voyageurs that were coming through here, and long before there were even any mills in this area or anything like that. So,
So I believe there was a iron deposit.
Yeah, that's probably why they're red. I was thinking about that.
And the iron deposits, yeah.
Iron is red.
yeah, there's red soil that's further up. That's more than likely where it came from.
Yeah, it's more like red soil, the terracotta.
Yeah.
Notice the water is a lot more water than last time because of the rain, right?
Yeah, because of the rain.
It's like it wasn't moving last time. It was
Just a little trickle. Yeah, and you come through here like around the end of August, and this river's almost totally dried up. So just a little trickle going through here. Come through here in the spring, it's usually raging pretty good. So right here we have Goldenrod. Izzy, why don't you tell them a little bit about Goldenrod? Oh, look at that. You didn't even have to go looking for one.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so this is a goldenrod. In the summertime, when like this is to seed right now, so we're actually just going to plant a little bit more because this is a very important plant for North America. It's actually one of the first and last food sources for our pollinators, birds and butterflies, etc. And we all know how important that is.
Bees.
And in the summertime when this is yellow, it's a very iconic bright yellow, you can take it and you can make a tea out of it that's known as, I don't know why, but it's called Blue Mountain Tea. Even though it's yellow. And it's quite pleasant in taste, and it's high in vitamin C and vitamin A. And reason I don't normally use it is because there are so many plants around here that you can get your vitamin C and vitamin A and all that from, and our birds and bees and butterflies need this. One interesting thing about this plant is a species known as the purple fly burrow in to the stalk and plant their larvae, and it creates this bulb, and basically during their process they're living in here and staying safe, hopefully safe from birds or me.
Yeah, you might want to put that down on a piece of wood. There you go.
And you get this little guy, this larvae in here.
Yep.
And since I already broke open his home, if you're gonna kill it, you gotta eat it, right? Or would anyone else like to try?
Yeah, I'll try.
Oh, I'll watch you.
Doesn't taste like much of anything, really. It's basically like a wet piece of rice. Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's actually kind of sweet. Yeah.
And
the next
yeah, that
market
larvae is full of protein, vitamin E, or essential oils and stuff like that.
Non-vegan
So it's like
products.
really good for you. It takes quite a bit of them to make a meal.
But it wouldn't be all that difficult because if you look, there's one here. I think there was another one over here. Yeah.
And goldenrod usually grows in droves, so you just collect a bunch of them. You can throw that in your stews or your stir fries or whatever you're making in the wilderness.
Now, keep in mind, we're survivalists, so palatable and edible don't always mean the same thing. So you may be able to eat it to keep yourself alive. Is it going to taste like crap? Chances are, yeah. but it's food and it will keep you alive. So we'll be talking about a lot of different stuff like that out here. We also talk about like wasp larvae and beetle grub larvae and bugs. But
Crickets.
yeah. But it's actually not that bad. I think it's if you can get past the point that you're eating a bug. A lot of the time, it actually doesn't even taste all that bad. In fact, if you go to beetle grub larvae and you eat those up, they actually taste just like shrimp. Taste just like shrimp. If I fed it to you and you were blindfolded, you would swear that you were eating shrimp. And it has the same consistency, everything. So
Shrimp, the bugs of the sea.
So when you live a regular old life, do you still eat like a survivalist, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I have no qualms about eating bugs and things like that. That doesn't bother me at all.
Then when you come back from your expeditions or whatever, do you end up wanting to eat more? Just like
well, it's not necessarily like you want to eat it. I don't think there's ever a time that you want to eat it. It's like, oh, I'm craving mealyworm or something. Like, you never really get that, but I mean, you definitely get past the whole I'm eating a bug thing, and it just ends up being food after that, you know. So,
But I think you'd rather eat mealworms than, say, Chinese buns, right?
yeah, probably, yeah.
That's what I try to share with you. You know?
yeah.
Terry, you craving for actual food before you get back to? You get back to
I find me, it's a big old steak.
That's what I mean. Now, you
Big old
mentioned that
steak or a
last
big old burger, that's usually my first go-to for survival.
That
shit.
pizza.
That and pizza.
Paleo.
Yeah.
Pizza, yes.
Anything that's got a lot of taste and a lot of fat in it, and like is really greasy and bad for you, that's what you crave once you get done one of those hikes. Because you could be out there for like 30, 45 days, depending on how long we do it. And the whole time you're living off the land, and all we give you is a knife, a pocket knife, a tin cup, and a flint stick. And that's what you use to live for the whole 30 days or 45 days that you're out. And if you're complaining and whining about, oh, well, I'm cold or, you know, I'm uncomfortable or whatever, I'm doing the exact same thing. And I do this again and again and again and again and again
Yeah,
and
but you
again.
don't live on your
So,
we don't entirely.
yeah, people whine like that to me. I really don't have a whole lot of sympathy for them. You wanted to take an emergency survival class? Yeah, I'm not going to like put you in a classroom and like everything that you're going to learn is going to be out of a book, because that would be useless information once you actually get out into the field. So,
Is that good forest started behind you too? Like Goldenrod, what you did?
yes, actually it is.
At this point in time, it's dried like crazy. It's
Yeah. When it seeds like this, after it becomes like
Sounds like a movie. Fire starter.
It's a chemical.
but when it seeds like this,
What do you have to ban?
because usually it's a bright iconic yellow, but after it seeds like in this time of year, this actually makes excellent tinder.
Yeah. And that's what you want to look for. And tinder, what we're talking about with tinder, is what you use with your flint stick. You basically put a spark to it, and the best tinder that you can find anywhere is anything that's like cotton. If it's like a cotton ball, if it's soft and fluffy like that, it'll catch really, really fast. So that's what you want to look for when you're out in nature. So this is juvenile willow here, and juvenile willow, it's really easy to spot in the wintertime because everything else is really white outside, and this is super bright red, really bright red. In fact, downtown Toronto, they use it for decorations along the city streets and stuff like that. They put like a bunch of different trees and stuff like that into the decorations that go along the side of the street. This bright red stuff here, this is willow. This is juvenile willow. Willow is kind of confusing because it's kind of they describe it as a shrub. It's classified as a shrub, even though full-grown willow trees are still classified as a shrub. Some weird classification thing that they have. Don't blame me. I didn't do it. Some Latin guy a long time ago came up with the idea. Now this is juvenile willow here, and the reason that you want to look for juvenile willow is because it contains a chemical in it called acetylsalicylic acid. And acetylsalicylic acid is actually ASA, and that's what they used to make generic aspirin out of. And you can actually gather this stuff up. It wouldn't take much more than this. You can actually gather this up, you crush it up, you put it into a tinny, and you boil it, over the fire, and you leave it at a rolling boil for about 5 minutes, and you can drink this, the water from that, and it'll actually be like a baby aspirin. So if you're ever out on the trail and you've got an injury or someone's got cramps or a headache or something like that, and you don't have any aspirin on you or anything like that, you can always find the willow. And the willow trees, you want to basically find the young growth on the willow trees. But willow shrubs, these young guys right here, juvenile willows, they're the best to be able to gather up the ASA from because they have the highest concentration of it in them. So that's the willow, juvenile willow right there. And you get acetylsalicylic acid from the willow. Anybody want to try and say that? Acetylsalicylic acid?
Acetylsalicylic acid. Too early.
There we go. But yeah, that's the willow there.
Chew that?
Yes, actually, if you didn't have a way to boil this up, you could actually just chew the bark off of it and just chew on the bark, and you'll get the same chemical from it.
Is that
Yeah,
what?
it's basically from the bark.
Is that what bunnies do too? Like, do they?
Yes, in fact, animals, you'll see deer will come along and they'll nip away at the bark and everything else. They'll eat the bark right off of it.
Do they think they know? Do you think they know why?
They probably have somewhere in their genetics where they know that it can make them feel better or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
And also chutting.
Yeah.
It's a technique that. Sorry, I'm gonna be a little grosser now.
It might be a little.
You're the
chew
guinea
it
pig.
up. You might feel less painful.
Into a fibrous ball, and then you put it under your tongue because the blood vessels under your tongue.
Oh, under. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's neat.
and it sucks.
Is that bad?
But that's the best way to do it if you can't boil it.
Does it taste bitter?
Oh, it's very bitter.
It's bitter, yeah.
It's very,
Well,
very
aspirin is bitter, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you have
But yeah,
some
when you
thimbleberries,
try to- you chew
right?
it to a
Wash it
ball
down
and
with
then you put it on
thimbleberries
your
so we
tongue.
don't.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's the juvenile willow there.
We did last time.
So I don't know if you guys can hear this on the film. There's a beautiful bird chirping in the distance. I'm not quite sure which it is or what kind it is, but
I'm not sure which one.
Is it a bird? Oh, it's slippery here. In the mud.
It has a lot to do with these leaves that you're seeing all over the place. These leaves here, they're oak leaves. Many different kinds of oak leaves are in here. There's some maple there too. But it's mainly oak if you take a look. And the oak leaves are here because this is a black oak savanna. And the only surviving black oak savanna in Toronto is at High Park. That's because they have the burn every year. But what they would do is they would have a black oak savanna. The Aboriginals actually started doing that. What they would do is they would start a burn early in the spring, and it would burn out all the softwoods and stuff like that. And what would leave behind is the oaks and the nut-bearing trees and stuff like that. So what it provided by doing those burns is burning out all the trees that were just taking up space and weren't being utilized by the Aboriginals. And it opened up pasture areas where those trees would have been, where there was tall grass and stuff like that. So the animals would go out there and they would eat the grass and they would graze on the grass and stuff like that. And at the end of the year, the nuts would fall off the trees and they would have winter food from that. So not only would it bring in game, but it will also provide them with nuts throughout the winter and stuff like that so that they could forage for and keep alive. So the reason that the soil is looking so dark like this is exactly because of that. For the longest time, the Aboriginals in the area would burn off this whole area every spring, and all these little saplings that you see, they would get all burned up and stuff like that. So all you would get basically are the big oak trees and stuff like that. So they oh, she's planting something. Okay, so that's why they would do that, is to open it up for grazing animals to come in and feed off the grasses. And in the fall, it would also give them another food stock of nuts that were falling from the trees. Yeah. That's not a very good one. But if you ever needed to, and you were out, I don't know if you figured this one out yet, Simon?
Yes.
With the cap whistles?
Yeah, you can whistle.
Yeah?
You're better at it.
So if you're ever out in the woods and you need to improvise a whistle, these acorn caps are great ways to improvise a whistle. Basically find one that's a good size, good healthy size. Make an hourglass like this with your thumbs over top of the shell so that your knuckles meet in the center. Not the best with gloves on, but
I think it's a red tooth.
but yeah, you can make a whistle with it, yeah. If you put your knuckles together like that, but my gloves are probably muffling it up right now, you can make an improvised whistle. If you're ever out in the woods and you're lost, people are looking for you and you haven't got a whistle on you or anything like that, you can grab one of these caps and go ahead and improvise yourself a whistle.
So this is an oak leaf here?
What's that?
This is an oak leaf here?
Yes, yes.
If you cover up the bottom part of it, doesn't it look like a maple? Like,
Oh, yeah, almost, yeah.
like if you...
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it does.
yeah.
I guess too, this is a black oak because it's pointed. Were it to be a white oak, all the tips would be rounded instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So black oak savanna, you're going to find a lot of them pointed like this.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
That was right here. If you walked along this side over here, you'll actually see the hill that still gets lots of use by kids tobogganing in the wintertime and everything else. But there used to be an old tow rope that was here. It was just basically on a machine. Spun this wheel around, hung onto the rope, took you up to the top of the hill, you skied down. I don't know how much fun it would have been because the hill isn't actually all that big. So it probably would have taken you longer to come up the hill than it would have to go down. But still pretty interesting. But anyway, yeah, this used to be where Toronto's first ski resort was at. Long since gone. It was gone by, I think, the end of the 40s. They tore everything out of here and everything else. We've got to go back natural. But we'll just take a little walk over here.
Let's all just pick it, shall we?
Ski hill's now being taken over by dogs strangling by.
I know, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
If anything, dog strangling by his babies. It would cushion your fall, actually.
It looks like it could cushion us all.
Then you might get all tangled up.
And just strangled.
So what's down there, Terry?
Well, this is actually where the hill was, where people would ski down. Obviously, it's been here for a long time, or else people would have been skiing into these trees. Yeah, this is where you used to be able to come around from this side, or from this side here, come down over here and ski down this way if you wanted to. You'll see there's still remnants over there of a path, and that's for the people that actually want to do a grind. And then a grind is basically where you put on a big heavy pack and everything else, and you go and jog through these parks instead of just hiking. And grinds, like this one over here, are still really well used. And I really don't understand those guys. We'll be taking a hike through here, and you'll see these guys going with like a 60-pound backpack on, and they just do these laps
through and through the park over and over and over and over again. I don't have that much energy.
Stuff or 60
So-
pounds of weight?
What's that?
60 pounds of weigh-me-downs or 60 pounds of useful stuff?
Usually weigh-me-downs through here. It's usually people come out here and they get themselves set up for when they're going out to Algonquin and they're trying to break like a distance record in Algonquin. They'll come out here and they'll train for it because this is probably the closest that you're going to get to what it's like in Algonquin. So. In the city anyway, so yeah. But yeah, this is the hill here. And like I said, it still gets lots and lots of use out of the kids in the wintertime. Kids are still more than happy to come and toboggan down this thing, which would take all of about like a minute and a half and then like another 10 minutes to climb all the way back up to the top. So. But the kids got energy for it, I don't, so more power to them.
All right, event listing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, what we have here is the trail marker tree. And what the Aborigines used to do is long before there were any trail markers in the park or anything like that, they would come through and they would take a piece of twine and they would tie down these young saplings. And they would have it tied down for about a season. The sapling would be bent down like this, but then eventually it would start growing back up like this because all trees reach for the sky for the sunlight. So what happens is that you would end up getting this dip in the sapling. So then the next season they would come through and they would cut it, and it would put a bend in the tree like this. You don't see this in nature at all. This is definitely influenced by the hand of man, and or woman, however you want to. I don't want to exclude anybody. But this is definitely done by a person, and it's a trail marker. And what they would have had done is it would have let you know that this was the direction of the trail because this is where the markers.